still guilty of bad and then the pipeline to good. But if we look at their patches, the game started out and it was in a place where there were certain characters that were bugged and they needed to be nerfed because they were breaking the game. And instead of nerfing them straight away, the first Borderlands 4 balance patch actually just buffed other characters. So they said, hey, PvE game, why would we nerf fun? You guys are enjoying some of these glitches, we'll just leave them there for now, and instead we'll buff other characters. And then they did the same thing in the next patch. Can you imagine Treyarch doing that? Like, I just can't see it happening, and that's something that I think needs to change in the future. There is a world, right, where Black Ops 7 comes out, and rather than there being loads of problems that we have to tell them about, and then...
You know it's bad when the biggest YouTuber for Black Ops basically turns against the company. And again, making a video like this at his size definitely means something. And all creators, you know, complaining about it, voicing their concerns, you know it hit the sales. A lot of people are saying they're buying Battlefield 6 instead this year. And I even got some, you know, unsubs because Call of Duty is coming out and a lot of people are not happy. So, you know, it's bad that we are seeing the biggest change, the biggest hatred. I don't think Call of Duty was this hated for 10 years. The last time was probably Call of Duty Ghosts or Infinite Warfare. And I feel like this could have been prevented. They want us to play a game mode that has been gone for about 5 years. It's been 5 years or probably even almost 6 since, you know, Warzone came out. And they still want us to play the same map. This is like when a, you know, employee gives you fries and doesn't ask you anything. He just gives you random stuff that you never asked for. And you want a burger. You want a nice burger, but instead you're always getting some stupid veggies, right? And I'm seeing the same thing here where they wouldn't even listen. You make these small changes. Again, what small changes are we talking about? The SBMM and beta is kind of like expected and the stuff that should have come into the game, not the community having to tell them for 5 years to add it in. Here is where I see the big problem. You know, the zombies looks awesome, the game looks awesome, but the company is going a different path where the community could really listen, and I feel like this is frustrating a lot of people. How they're communicating and what they're showing to be the new features, I feel like Activision is taking the player base for granted, and I wish them best here because obviously if Activision does well, so would be my livelihood. You make more money, right? And this is where content creators are getting afraid and actually have to speak out. Otherwise, even risking not getting invited to future events and future things, because if they do not speak out, it could literally happen that they lose a lot of money. They could lose a big chunk of their revenue, a big chunk of their salary if their games suck. And that could mean the death of their channels. That is a big problem that we saw now with the biggest channel here talking about it.
Treyarch is changing the dates of the Black Ops 7 beta, and I'm kind of wondering if they did this because they're listening to our feedback or if they were forced. You see, towards the start of the beta, there were people like Rorato Man here who were commenting on the fact that the Steam player numbers for Black Ops 7 were really low compared to Battlefield 6. You can see towards the beginning, it peaked at 74k. Battlefield in its first day had 500,000 on Steam. Now, there are various reasons and arguments to be made for why these statistics might be in disrepute. For example, James says way more people play COD on Game Pass, and also it's a closed beta until Sunday, and the numbers are from Battlefield's open beta. But then Rorato responds saying that Battlefield was code-only access for the first 2 days, and it still hit those crazy numbers. So I think there's room for it to be argued either way, but what is undeniable, I think, is that Call of Duty is feeling the heat from Battlefield. The only reason we're getting these skill-based matchmaking changes, for example, is because of Battlefield. Like, all the COD creators have been tweeting that exact sentiment, and it's like a dream come true, like T-Dog here saying,
And you actually know it's bad when even Call of Duty creators, people who did Call of Duty for 10 years, are either A, quitting, or B, they are just doing other stuff. They're, you know, becoming Battlefield makes Call of Duty channels. So of course they'll still do Call of Duty, but their main, you know, hype for this year is probably pivoting to Battlefield, and that is a big problem. And here we're seeing the same path. A lot of people are choosing Battlefield to win that trust. Of course, you know, with Battlefield 2042, they said, remember, no pre-orders. Remember, I'm never buying this game. Oh, forget it. This game sucks. That one single beta changed the entire mindset. Everybody had low hype for Battlefield this year. Well, this completely changed it, and this is the big problem. Call of Duty got caught off guard. They literally did not expect this level of hype for Call of Duty, and I can tell you they probably have employees to actually check the analytics and data. Again, this is $1 billion, multiple of billions of dollars we're talking about. Call of Duty is not like 2010 anymore, where it's like maybe a few developers and it's an awesome game and a publisher. This is literally becoming, someone that works with the US military. That is how big Call of Duty is. That is sponsored, that is working with the government to get their stories right. I mean, this is how far advanced this is. And Call of Duty developers helping the army and stuff like that, for sure. And when you have this type of attention, you have a lot of money coming in and out. And this is the thing here. This is the big thing, is you cannot take all of this for granted. If something can be given, it can be also taken away. Attention is such a important factor. It's probably the most important thing in your life, because what's the most important currency of your life? It's time. It's not money. You can always make more money, but Battlefield and, Call of Duty doesn't realize that. Battlefield realizes that by giving that open beta. Of course, the closed beta had lower player count because it was very hard to play the early access codes, even though the early access codes were given out for free. So I'm very happy I didn't pre-order, because if you did pre-order, the main promise was the early access codes to play Call of Duty early, but instead they just gave it out for free, or it was like 10 cents to buy. So again, this just shows how low the numbers were and how quickly they changed their minds. While for Call of Duty, you watch those streamers, and I kind of like this idea to interact. This was cool, from another W for Battlefield basically. But again, Battlefield still has a long way ahead. It might have just shown Call of Duty what good it did.
Dream Call of Duty removed skill-based matchmaking? Someone tell me it wasn't a dream. Like, it's such a shock that they've actually done it, but there is a crazy amount of positivity around the whole thing, and it's thanks to Battlefield applying that pressure to Call of Duty. I mean, in that other post I showed you, there's even Battlefield devs. Alexia Christofi works at Battlefield, and she says, "You're welcome." Like, they're fully taking the credit for it, as they should. So whether or not it's because of Battlefield pressure, we are still seeing changes to the beta, and one of the key changes, alongside the fact that they've now raised the level cap and stuff, is that, as they say in the Zombies patch notes here, it's been incredibly rewarding to see the community dive into Van Dorn during the beta. Based on your feedback, we'll be extending zombie survival for the remainder of the open beta. For those of you joining the beta today for the first time, we do not recommend any attempts to pet the bear. So, regardless of the source of it, it's happened. And I think that this is really positive. The fact that we got there somehow, even though it wasn't really an optimal path, because there was so much confusion around the zombies beta dates in the first place. First, we thought that it was coming out the same.
To be fair, nobody actually cares about when is Black Ops Zombies beta, if it's for another day or not, or ending, if it's on the 7th or 8th. Nobody cares about that. That's not going to bring 500,000 people back. I feel like a lot of YouTubers are simplifying the point here, is that it didn't bring anything super original. A lot of content creators were saying at COD Next event, this game is going to be a game changer, is going to be amazing. But when we voiced our opinion, when suddenly they got back home, they started, messing with it. They started saying, oh, this is, a big problem. We were expecting a lot of things. We went from USA, we literally flew across the world to be playing, Verdansk and Warzone. And without new maps, just with the new guns. And literally, that's the big thing. They're also taking these content creators for granted. They think it's going to be super, super easy to actually win this battle, and it's going to show them this year when a large chunk of their money is going to go towards Battlefield. So yeah, nobody cares actually about these games that they're talking about. Nobody cares about how long their beta is, or if they added SBMM. This is like adding, a small drop of water to a fire. This has been building up, and now they have to regain this trust somehow. Of course, I feel like Modern Warfare will fix a majority of these problems we're hearing about this year, but it just didn't have to happen like this. If they just at least listen to the community or added some features to listen, if they let content creators, somehow find ways to monetize their plans, this would be done much easier. And I feel like this YouTuber is very much simplifying the whole problem, saying about listening to us and then starting off rocky. This is, for me, it is gonna be for them a $200 million problem or multiple of millions than just adding a simple thing and saying it's fixed.
Is everyone else. Then we thought that the UK blog was correct and it was going to be, the 3rd to the 5th only? Then that was wrong and something else said the 4th, and it's just been absolute chaos. So there's a world where none of that confusion enters the picture at all. That would have been ideal. But even so, the world we're in is one where there was confusion, but that confusion is now ironed out. Treyarch has listened, and we will be getting Zombie Survival for the rest of the beta. It's a W. It's a W with caveats, but it's still a W. And I think this is one of those things that we saw a lot in Black Ops 6 as well, where Treyarch would do something and they'd sort of start off in a bit of a rocky place, or they'd make a misstep very early on.
This is not the bigger problem that YouTubers are talking about. I feel like he's super simplifying the problem and is not honest with what he's saying. Obviously, because he's a very big channel, I would be as well, but I rather tell the truth, for a company to improve and actually listen, because that is the main problem. Like, they actually did listen on the Beavis and Butthead skins, and I honestly feel they didn't add that because people boycotted it. I feel like it didn't make enough money in that case for them to be worth it, and they found out, well, maybe Black Ops skins will sell more money. So if they were making a lot of money today, I don't think they would change that. But again, like the Halloween updates and everything like that, that's going to be canceled for November. And it doesn't make any sense to me why did anyone mention here of the YouTubers that there is going to be a big concern about Black Ops Zombies being out there for some time? No, the biggest concern was obviously about the cheaters, that they were talking, oh, this is going to be removed. And also Battlefield 6 had the same problem, I agree. It's going to stop some of the cheaters. And again, I don't feel like, this is going to be a big problem, but I just feel it's this safe boot thing. Is it making super harder to play Call of Duty for the normal person? You actually have to go into the system and change this stuff. It's not so easy as people expect. And they're taking all of this us for granted. And I would love to do it for Battlefield 6. I regret not doing it now because some people actually bricked their PC that way. But to do it for Call of Duty, I mean, what's there for us? There is a lot of problems that I hope they will fix in the future, especially, in my opinion, if any of the Activision employees listening today add a creator code. It's been 10-15 years and we still don't have a creator code. It's been 5 years since Warzone, just like Fortnite. That would be a great way for creators to actually come back and start making tons of revenue. And it would be another thing, but they added actually the Xbox Game Pass bonus points or whatever it was, the discount. Again, and a lot of this small stuff, it adds up and it angers the community because they take it like, we won't care. Here you go. Here's an SBMM. Here's a Call of Duty Zombies beta. Yay. No, it's not going to be like that this time. And people are, preparing their pitchforks. They're raising their concern. They're not happy with what's happening. And a lot of content creators, if they talk about it, it's bad. Because, literally they have to be on the good side of Activision. So half of the content on YouTube right now is just flaming